Hey everybody, welcome to More Podiums. Today we're going to be doing a PC build of the Corsair Premium Build Kit. Not only were we struggling to keep up on track, but our graphics and CPU were struggling to keep up while we were racing. I received many feedback about how we were having slow frame rates or latency inside of the game, which was causing for not only issues on my end, but also with the other racers that were on the track. You would see lots of blinking or glitching for the race with either me or them. So what I did is went out and got the first PC build kit that I've looked into for the past 14 years. I've always ran off of a gaming laptop until recently. Used to build PCs back in high school, so I used to know my way around these, but it's been a long time and a lot has came out ever since. I'm excited to be doing the first water-cooled CPU and internals, along with seeing what a beefy NVIDIA 4090 has in stock for the graphics. Things that we're going to be looking forward to in this is understanding all of the components that go into making the Corsair Premium Build Kit, but also a quick time lapse and just general areas that get me while I'm doing the build. Feel free to follow along throughout this video to understand what all goes into building the Premium Build Kit for Corsair PCs. So there's unboxing the main box. You can see that we got all the components that we need inside of our build kit, just as we had ordered. So we got our 64 gigabytes of RAM, our case, our graphics, our power supply, motherboard, processor. They gave us a really cool little toolkit here, and it looks like one set of fans. So I need to go and make sure that that is all that was intended. I do know that this case came with, I believe, 6 or 7 fans. I can count 4 right here in the front, so that'll be good. I just need to see if there's some up top or if those are the radiators coming out of the water coolant. But overall, super excited, looking forward to where this goes. So we got the case opened up and disassembled like they had asked for. Some silly things that I'm really happy that I went with the PC build kit because I haven't done this in a long time, so I'm happy I went with it. Move the items out. They just simply fall out. They don't have to pull out like back in the day where they'd latch on the sides. At least for this case. Same with the front, and then also don't forget to move the tape for whenever you're looking for how to get this door to open. So that was easy. We got all the cable management stuff in there, which is somewhere that I could always use a helping hand on. And then we of course always had the nerve-wracking installing the CPU into the sockets and praying that you do not bend any of the components or the any of the sockets or the plugs, the prongs that are in there, because that would be a very expensive mistake. But for now, we're going to take a break and we're going to come back later and finish this up. See you soon. So we got finished up with installing our SSD, 2 terabytes input. We also got both of our RAMs installed into slots 2 and 4. You might get to watch me searching on the ground for one of the washers that fell out, but it's okay, we found it. We also inserted the motherboard into the case, and I want to take you guys and show you about one of the gotchas that just got me in this. So There is one screw, and it's right here, that is longer than all the rest. Do not rest your motherboard on that. So for one, this screw right here is longer, so your holes that are cut out need to go on top of it. So don't rest it on there, you're gonna bend your motherboard. Thankfully I noticed that one thing was taller than everything else before I put the motherboard on, but I just figured that would be a good thing to save somebody that hasn't been through this before, didn't recognize that, to hopefully save them from not breaking their motherboard or cracking it, which would be currently a $250 mistake. So let's continue on with the build and see where we go next. Alright everybody, so we just got done with installing the radiator, the 3 fans for the radiator, along with the exhaust fan, the back of the CPU mounting bracket, and I wanted to take you guys through a few of the gotchas that I found in there that weren't really outlined too well in the video. So first off, to get back to the CPU, you need to undo this thumb screw, in which you're going to have 4 mounting brackets. And these brackets, let me get a light here so it's better lighting. The 4 brackets that you see right here are adjustable. So you need to make sure that all 4 of them are adjusted to being the proper width from one another before you start screwing stuff in, or before you take off the adhesive mount that it does state to do. So watch out for that. Make sure that you adjust your brackets before you take off your adhesive mount. I just let my back panel here dangle a little bit. Up to you if you want to do it that way or not. Next up, were the short screws and washers up here. Not a big deal, but make sure that you have everything roughly aligned before you start screwing stuff in all the way. The back exhaust fan, for some reason the screws are much different than in the front. Makes it much more difficult to screw in. It takes a lot of force. And then also note the way that the exhaust fan is. This matches the video and other pieces. It was a little bit interesting because these are intake fans, so these are taking in, and then this also makes sense. The airflow is going to go in and then out over here. Same with this, it's taking all the hot air, blowing it out through the radiator. I hope that you find those tips helpful, and we'll continue on to the next part of the build. next day here. So we just got finished with a ton of cable management. Not too much tips or tricks to give besides just make it all nice and neat. Everything is shoving into the back of this case, as you can see, and try to make as little as possible, if that's your style, viewable from up here. The only thing that I am a little bit frustrated with is that whoever assembled the front 6 fans at the Corsair, wherever the manufacturing place was, did not route these into their respective slots. So we get to trace out all those wires and redo their work. But we're going to start by also putting in the power supply, and then I believe after the power supply is going to be the graphics card. Should be finished up soon. So that should have been the last step of building the Corsair Premium Do-It-Yourself Build Kit. A few gotchas whenever it came to installing the cables. So first off, the CPU cables that go into the motherboard, you need to make sure that you're not installing the ones that have only the one PCI connector. The ones that go into the motherboard have 2 PCI or I guess 2 attachment slots. So watch out for that gotcha. There's another thing here where the video on YouTube from Corsair said that within your graphics card that should use a dedicated PCI for each of the power slots. And here there's 4. I ultimately ended up routing and rerouting the cables, 3 or 4 times on trying to just come up to the conclusion, do I want to do it that way? I ended up going with the 2 jumper cables into the power. Let me know if that's right or not. I still don't know, but the reason why I made that decision is because the jumpers would have just been dangling in there. They would have been next to all the other cords. It would have been next to the fan. I had to use a few tie downs to keep all these cords away from the fan. I wanted to go down as compared to up, only because the aesthetics of looking where all those cords would be going up and over. But now if we were not to have used the jumper cables, that would have gone up and into the fan. So if Corsair was really meaning to use 4 separate PCI connectors for the 4 power slots, they should have sent 4 of these kind of PCI connectors as compared to 2 jumpers and 2 singles. Other than that, the power supply had to be a little bit forceful to get all those cables in there. No shortage of cables. Overall though, I would say that this was a positive experience. It's been at least 12 or 14 years since the last time I built a computer. It was really fun to relive some of those memories from the childhood and just kind of doing that all together. But I also think that my parents are crazy for trusting us as kids to allow us to play with these $1,000 machines whenever we were in our teens. I hope that you found the gotchas helpful and informative. I will put them into the description so that you see them or have the ability to read them prior to going through the full video. Whenever I looked at Corsair's website, there was only 200 views in the final few videos. So that tells me that maybe only 200 people got to these steps. So I hope that this helps you. I hope that you found it very informative. On the next video, we'll fire it up and see if it runs. Stay tuned.